on.
Do I have time to talk? I was sitting here waiting for you to call.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt your sitting in beer, sweating, and drinking beer time.
What's going on?
Hey, so I am going through, and I just need to talk out loud for a second.
Okay.
I'm trying to translate the technical proposal because I have realized that the two jobs that I bid on required the exact same thing. So I basically I I submitted 0 bids because I didn't do my technical proposal. So that's changing. So as I go through, my bonding agent out of Arizona is telling me I cannot do, he said, between my insurance company for national contractor and a bonding agent, try to stay away, not try. It's my insurance company is saying stay away from new construction because you need to build a foundation for the business. And the underwriters don't like brand new people with new. They would rather see remodel or rehab or fix versus new construction because there's a lot more liability and all of that.
Okay, but does that include like replacing, pumps with new?
I don't believe so. I believe it's because that's existing. That's like a remove and replace
Okay, so you can go
versus
after that.
here.
You can go after new air conditioner in place, replacing an air conditioner.
Yeah, it's like you gotta, instead of that, it's not like it's building a building
Right.
and then
So you can go after
installing an air
replacing
conditioner.
roofs.
Yeah,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. So what I'm trying to do is I've got your template printed out for your technical.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to carve it out to where it can make sense for me, but it is so heavy in big and
Okay, wait a second. You're talking about the one that I wrote that's on my website, and you're saying
yeah,
that sounds way bigger than what I am.
correct.
Okay, and
Because
so that's
I'm
okay. You
trying to,
haven't heard my instructions on that then. That's all that tells me. So let me tell you
okay,
what the instructions were either supposed to have said on the website or what they actually are, but I know what the instructions are. So
okay,
understand that when I wrote that, I sat down at a computer and I wrote what you're reading there,
right,
but I was in somebody else's office. I was doing it for an existing client. Back in those days when we first started GCExperts, I was still young enough and spry enough to want to get on an airplane and go talk to people. And in those days, I want to say it was $1,500 a day. You could hire me to come out to your office, and we do whatever you wanted to do: bid jobs, grow your company, hire people, whatever you wanted to do, we would sit down and do.
right,
And he wanted to bid a job, and I don't remember exactly, but I think if you read in there, they wanted to do some work on the other side of like a pond or a lake or something,
barge and helicopter.
and he came up with a unique idea. He wanted to use a barge or helicopter or whatever.
Yeah,
He had a novel way he wanted to do that.
right,
And so I wrote the technical proposal around the concept that, hey, we've got a novel approach to this thing. Um, and I started asking him, hey, do you have any references? Do you have this? Do you have this? And he did. So we just, I just kept writing. It took me a couple hours, 3 hours to sit down and write that whole thing.
right,
Then we turned it in with his bid, and bitty bitty bing. I think he got the job, but I don't really remember. That was 15 years ago. But
right,
but what I suggest to people is, because look, there was a mistake that happened. I want to say it was 5 years later. I got a phone call from a contracting officer asking me why he shouldn't get on the phone with the Department of Justice right now and come after me and GCExperts. And I went, well, I'm not entirely sure that you shouldn't, but tell me what the problem is, and I'll tell you if I did that or didn't do that.
Right.
And now let's just, for the purpose of this discussion, let's say that that technical proposal was written for company A, and now what you're about to hear is company B and what they did. Company B
Oh.
took that technical proposal, left all the references on there for company A, turned them into the federal government as if they were his references.
Oh no.
So they start calling those companies and they go, no, that doesn't sound like company B. I've never heard of company B, but it does sound a lot like company A. I've worked with them a lot. So somebody calls company A and he's going, what the fuck? You guys
Yep.
are using my references for some other I mean, the shit hit the fan.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And I explained that what I do, that I own the proprietary technology in there, but I completely agree those are not Company B's references, and he should have
Right.
never done that. And so that's why when you read that technical proposal today, it says Wonder Woman at Company Z, and you have to go in there and edit all that shit to where it makes sense for your company. Now,
Right.
a new
Right.
startup that comes into GCExperts, that 5 page deal or whatever I wrote might only be 1 page. It might only be 2 pages. It might be,
Right.
3 paragraphs.
Because what I looked at on remember, I know you have a lot going on, but do you remember the one I talked to you about out of Rome, New York? I couldn't find anybody. And I said, these are expansion joints. This is what I've done for 26 years. If I can't find anybody, I'm going to do it myself.
I
I'm going
do.
to fly up there and do it myself. Well, I just had an epiphany. It's like, well, hey, maybe I should just look at section M. Happens to be page 53 of 53. And it says at the ass end, offer provided provided all required information. All information provided is recent and relevant. Offer demonstrated capability to handle projects of similar size and scope of the requirements of the solicitation. I did none of that. I filled out the solicitation and I put a number on it and I fired it off.
And nobody contacted you to say that you weren't, or did they just throw your bid away?
I guarantee you it's going on 2 months now that it got thrown out.
Okay,
I would
that's
imagine.
unusual. I'll just say that in general, our procurement officials, contracting officers, when they
Uh,
notice that a bid's just missing something, but now they would have had to have noticed it. But in general, they'll contact you and say, "Hey, we asked for this and you didn't provide it, and we'd like to give you an opportunity to provide it." They don't
and
have to
nothing,
do that, but it happens a lot.
not nothing at all. And then I also bid on another one for sidewalks in Utah at a Air Force base for like $250,000. It was a $0 amount, so they actually went out on a site inspection. Um, and again, I guarantee you, I never addressed M because I had a moment of, well, I don't remember Sean saying that, but as soon as I look at the docs, I'm going to say, yep, Sean told me this, but I didn't pay attention because I didn't know what he was talking about yet.
Well, okay, that's just a learning,
Yeah,
experience.
that's the learning curve. So I have a feeling the stuff that I've submitted, I'll save the bid tracker forms, but I don't see any reason to hold on to the paper because I think there's just zero bids. So my question is, looking at the 30,000 foot view of your document with company A and his technical proposal, what I'm seeing is I need to demonstrate, I need to introduce myself, I need to demonstrate that I can do the work, and here's the experience that I have at this point. and then be able to, and then don't fabricate it, because I don't want to get you a phone call, which gets me a phone call.
That's okay. Let me just add one more thing to this. That this is you mentioned from a 30,000-foot level.
Yeah.
So there's a portion of the workshop that you never saw, and the reason that you never saw it is because in the beginning, when we were doing workshops, my dad would stand up in front of a projector. This is circa 2010, and he'd spend 3 fucking hours explaining to a room full of bored out of their fucking mind people how to properly fill out an RFP. Okay, now a request for a proposal. And he really dug into L&M, and he really dug into the review of a particular bid that he had turned in.
Right.
And I looked at everything that was happening with the workshop over time, and I went, I had to trim some fat out of that thing. And I trimmed that section out, and I'm never going to put it out in the public because, my God, it's not good training.
Right.
Now, that said, there's one part of that thing that was kind of important, and that was where he talks about how the government reviews your bid and the weight that they put on particular items when they're talking about L&M. L being, what they want to see, M being how they're going to review it, and it's this weighted scale. Now, you got to understand, in 2010, I didn't really understand it myself, so I was paying attention. And the reason I didn't understand it myself was because Doug was doing all the heavy bidding for Reitmeyer and Associates, and I was the project manager getting shit done.
Right.
So, and how a bid got reviewed, I wasn't paying attention to either, because we either won the fucking thing or we didn't win the fucking thing, and life moves on. But when I was watching his training over this, I was paying real close attention to this idea that they weight you from a +3 to a -3, and if you don't have any experience, they rate you a 0. Now, that was interesting to me because I put that together in conjunction with Federal Acquisition Regulation 15.305, which, if you have a minute, pull it up and let's reread it again. Just Google FAR 15.305. I promise there's going to be a punchline here or a reason for all of this that you're going to like.
Okay. I can definitely do that after this conversation.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Well, what it says in there is that the review should take into account past performance, key personnel, and relevant subcontractors who will be performing major aspects of the instant acquisition. Okay, that sentence right there, and subcontractors who will be performing major aspects of the instant acquisition. Well, so what I interpret from that is that in my technical proposal, I can say ABC roll-up doors will be performing major aspects of the instant acquisition. Here's their references, and I understand that they're not my references, but we intend to use ABC roll-up doors if this job's awarded to us. Okay? And because of that, we want to be rated, we're new, we want to be rated a 0, not a -3 and not a +3. In other words, I'm using words that would make a fuck ton of sense to a contracting officer that's looking at this, because they understand the +3 to -3, whether I do or don't, right?
Right.
And so I'm telling them, hey, I want to be rated a 0, not a -3 or a +3.
Okay, so.
But eventually you're going to win some federal contracts, and you're going to be wanting to put, contracting officers as your reference.
Right. But as ground 0, not a positive or a negative, I need to come in as almost as neutral. But here are the things. Here's my major jobs that I've done outside of the government facet.
That's right, because it's key personnel. You're a key personnel. And you,
So I could be, I'm also an owner slash project manager for the last 20 years.
that's right. And I
And,
would put that in my technical proposal. This is your chance to say, pick me, I'm the best.
and here's the reasons. However, we don't have any because we're still new to this. However, this is how we treat it. And this is okay. Okay. Because yeah, the
Yeah.
technical there is holy crap. It's heavy. It is heavy. And it's very, I get if somebody called on a reference, B is not going to know what the fuck A is even talking about off of a contracting anything because it's so specific to a certain thing.
Yeah, just understand that RFQs and RFPs fall under what's called lowest price technically acceptable. Okay? So,
But what? Okay, so what does on that same topic? It says offer demonstrated under the adjectival rating. The offer demonstrated capability to handle projects of similar size and scope of the requirements of the solicitation. So that means you can basically you're bidding on a job that you can actually do.
that's right. And under lowest price technically acceptable, it's in the name. It starts with lowest price. So just
Lowest price.
right off
Yeah.
the bat, if you're the highest price, you're probably not in the running. Okay, they're going to start with the dollars first. Do the dollars make sense for what they're trying to accomplish? But the second part is technically acceptable. Now,
Can you do it?
the that's right. But
Uh,
the other part of it is in the proposal, you can come up with a novel approach. Remember, in the workshop on day 3, we teach multiple projects that we were the highest price and still got the job because we were able to demonstrate to the government that we had a better way of accomplishing what they're trying to do, and we're going to
because
charge them for it.
you have the experience over the last 20 plus years
That's right.
and you can show this.
That's
So
right.
what I need to do is I need to show price. Can I do it based off my
And look,
$250,000
not
and
every
below?
job, you got to keep in mind, we only give 5 examples on day 3 for 2 reasons. One is time constraint, but 2 is, how many jobs in a career do you really, you know, convince the federal government that, yeah, you asked for a red room, but if you paint it blue, it's going to be way more valuable. Like whatever it is that we came
Yeah,
up with,
not as many.
not as many.
But if you can go in and I'm bidding, so if I'm comfortably bidding $250,000 jobs because I want to get my 6 rating, and you want to get your first year in per Sean Reitmeyer saying this stuff in training, you want to grow and you want to grow. If I can reflect the work that I'm bidding, not the work that I want to bid, like I can do $250,000 jobs, but I'm bidding $1 million job and give me the price because red's better than blue.
Well,
But
but
if I
that
can
comes
if I can
later.
cover
I
my
would I
ass,
wouldn't start that way. I'd start with, under $150,000 jobs, get 3 or 4 of them done.
well, no. What I'm saying is I have four jobs in the 280-ish range with my contracting business prior to federal. Then there's a 74 and a 65 in there as a referral, as a reference. Here's the scope of work. Here was the price. Here was when completed. All this information. So I can show that I was successful in doing these in the private life.
Yes,
Now I'm
that
going
that
after the
absolutely that'll
federal.
work. Yes, of course.
Okay, and then I'm going after the federal side where I'm comfortably walking in. I build my stepping stones, and as I get each one, I add that as a referral, and then I also get contracting officers as a reference, and I start bumping my private life off and pulling in my government contracts and start building it that way.
You're exactly right. My apologies
That's
for the confusion
okay. So
earlier.
we're on the same page then. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Because I feel like I'm overthinking it, but I don't want to go in there and just completely suicide myself. because I can't back it up. So that's doable. That I can work with.
Okay. My apologies
So,
if I created some confusion there.
oh, no. You said here's an example, and a 5-page example on somebody who overthinks is trying to figure out how crap I need to somehow mirror this, but yet not be the same thing. I need a white mirror versus a black mirror. But when you have a bond agent say, "Hey, here's this," and then a insurance company says, "Don't go after new," and the example reflects new and big versus over what I can actually bond. That's where my overthinking kicked in. That's why I'm on the phone with you now.
Gotcha.
Trying to give myself borders versus like just free reign. That's a problem. Because I can be super creative, and AI makes it even easier. So, yeah. Okay, no, this makes sense. So I'm going to, would it be okay if I was to create this and I could send it to you and be gentle with a red pen, but red pen?
Absolutely. Actually, just copy paste it into Telegram,
Yep.
so I can copy like don't attach it as a document. Uh,
Nope.
so I can just
I'll
get.
do it that way.
Yep.
Done. Done deal.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.